Welcome to Spartan Up Podcast. I am Joe Sena, the founder and CEO of Spartan, and we are your resiliency partner. That means we want to rip you off the couch, we want to get you motivated, we want to get the juices flowing and get you out of your comfort zone, doing things you really want to do, but something's holding you back. Today we're talking to Monaghan. She is a mentor of mine. 20 plus years ago, I raced with her around the world. We did crazy races, the Iditarod, Raid the North, the Yucatec, you name it. Anything crazy, anything dangerous, we were doing together. She's full of piss and vinegar. She's from Ireland. She's got an accent. She's tough to decipher. But a lot of what she believes in, a lot of her upbringing seeped into me, which seeped into Spartan. So I learned a lot from her. I think you're going to learn a lot from her. Stay till the end. You're going to apply some of that piss and vinegar to your own life. And who knows where it'll lead.
This episode of the Spartan Up Podcast is brought to you by Shady Rays Sunglasses, built for adventure. Go to shadyrays.com and use the code SPARTAN to get 50% off when you order 2 pairs of sunglasses from Shady Rays.
We are here for Spartan Up Podcast with a blast from the past, Monaghan, who basically, if you don't know it, she was my inspiration for doing Spartan, for doing all this stuff. Now, how could that be? We were teammates. She was kind enough to let me on her team, in the 90s, to race alongside her. She was like a super athlete coming from the mountain bike discipline. And you notice I used the word was. And I'm sorry, I just like messing with her. But she's tough as nails. She eats barbed wire for breakfast. Mm-hmm. And she gave me an ethos, a methodology that helped create Spartan. So where did that come? Like, give me your background. Where were you born?
Well, born in the fields of Ireland. So a natural playground for venture racing. So to me, when I first did my first venture race, and I said, it's no different than tramping around the wet old fields of Ireland.
Because Ireland's a wet mess.
It's a wet mess and cold and miserable and damp at times.
So if you're a kid and you grow up in that kind of environment, you're naturally a little more rugged?
Yes, your toes and feet are cold and you're uncomfortable.
All the time?
Not all the time, but good enough, you know.
And all you eat is potatoes?
Spuds, not potatoes, spuds.
And all you drink is beer?
For breakfast and dinner.
But so I mean, there is some truth to that, right? I mean, as a kid, you're a little tougher than a kid that grows up on Park Avenue.
Oh, by far, yes.
And so there is a benefit to being uncomfortable.
Well, for venture racing, for sure.
But for life.
For life, yeah. Well, you can always learn it, but it's nice to grow up with it and it not be a surprise when you have to endure it.
So as parents, I mean, you're a parent now. Do
Yes.
you based on that, do you have your kids get uncomfortable?
No.
Why? Because you were uncomfortable and you don't want them to be?
No. I want them to be their own people. I don't want to force my sport on them. I've seen lots of parents do that, and I'm not going to force that on them. I'm more into my children enjoying the environment, which is kind of dwindling away from us.
The environment, you mean getting outside, climbing mountains?
No. The actual global warming.
Got it.
Yeah, you don't know where I am now.
No, well, you're in Durango now.
I'm in Durango, but you don't know where I am anymore.
I don't know where you are in your
We
head.
haven't seen each other for what, 7 years?
At least 7 years. So, but before we start hugging and all that, I just want to get back to. You're in Ireland. You grow up in a tough environment, and you find a mountain bike.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Well, it happened because I wanted to travel the world, and I just happened to be a good athlete by accident. I was riding my bike 60, 70 miles a day, just going to school and going to work. And people were going, no way, are you riding that far? And they said, well, do a race. And I did a race, and I won. And I said, oh, this is great. So I started traveling, doing it, and I was just good enough of an athlete. And I said, this is my vehicle to travel the world.
So you were biking to work. Was it a means of necessity? You didn't have a car?
Means of necessity, correct.
Isn't that awesome? So there's so many people in the world, right? Certainly in third world countries that are walking 10 miles to school each day, and we would look at them as like super athletes, and they're just like, well, this is how I get to work.
Yeah, that's what I do all day.
And so you were just doing what you did every day, and it turns out you were great at it.
Yeah, it just happened to be. I was stubborn. You know, that's what's really worked for me. I'm very stubborn. Don't tell me not to do it, because I'll do it.
That's awesome. And so then from there, you're like, you know what? This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to travel the world.
Yeah.
And then we bumped into each other.
Yes, we did.
And
about 15 years after I'd been racing.
Wow, 15 years of mountain bike racing.
Mountain bike and road racing. And then I just was getting into adventure racing. I was there a few years, maybe 2 or 3, 4 years. I can't remember exactly. And then we met through another person.
Yeah. And you were like, I don't really like this guy. He's a little soft for me, but he's got a credit card. And
that's a little unfair, but you were wanting the experience of adventure racing. Somehow or another, you had it in your mind that you wanted to do this. So you sought out some people, and you sought out a person that sought out me to help you get there.
You became like,
and we were like your babysitters.
Yeah, you were my babysitter. You became my mentor. What's funny though, when I think about it, is in my childhood I found BMX. And I was 13, and my mother wouldn't take me to a race, and so I biked there 70 miles on a BMX bike.
Wow!
And I raced and I biked home, and so there's a little bit of wiring I had that, right? Because it takes a special kind.
Yeah, a determination, a bullheadedness. I'm doing this. I want to do this. It's a force in you.
It's a force, and so you and I then got to travel the world.
We did,
which was awesome,
and in such a great way. I mean, I love museums and love everything else, but to see it and to be with the people, actual people who live there, and see the sunsets, the sunrises, the terrain, the noises of the jungles. I mean, it was just fascinating to me.
In a slow way, as opposed to flying over it or just driving through it.
And you learned every aspect of yourself too, because you would hallucinate. You were not hidden. Your teammates totally got to know the best and the worst of you.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I remember laying down. We were in Switzerland, you and I. We were on a team. We were going probably 350 miles. And I remember laying down in the snow and saying, I'm done. But done for me didn't mean like I want to quit the race. Done was like I just want to die right here.
Yeah.
And then somehow you pick yourself up, right? And you guys push me through another mile or 2 miles, and then before you know it, you eventually get to the finish line. And then for me anyway, I learned, oh my God, the finish line always comes.
Yes.
You just got to put one foot in front of the other.
Correct, yes.
Right?
Yeah. I loved the team aspect, because you had to think of each other as a limb of yourself. You couldn't be an individual thought person. If I was stronger doing this, I'd help you. You're stronger doing that, you help me, because we all had to get to the finish line together.
Oddly enough, you always end up helping me. I didn't end up helping you very much.
I know, we all helped each other.
You had like my backpack on, your backpack, I think somebody else's backpack. You'd give up your food, I'd eat your food.
Oh, that's right. You did have a ferocious appetite at the beginning.
I did have
at the beginning. But then your body gets adapted and you can work on so much less calories.
I remember one race we were doing, and we were rationing M&Ms. Every hour we could have an M&M each.
I remember you talking my ear off about this place before it ever was...
The farm.
The farm.
Really?
Yeah, and your wife and your kids.
Oh, we were in a race, and I was telling you about the farm?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, Joe, all right. He talked, and he talked. At one point, you were kind of a little bit delirious. And you walked around the field and said, what the feck are you doing, Joe? One way, let's go this way. And you're talking about your wife, and you were talking about this farm you're going to have, your kids. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Oh, my gosh.
So even before it happened?
Yeah, even before it happened, like years before.
So I visualize it. So if you're listening out there, it's important to visualize the things you want to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were visualizing Durango, Colorado.
Oh.
And then you got there.
I did. I got there.
Right?
Yes.
And so that's what you got to do. A lot of people are going through life, and they don't know where they're going. They don't have a point in the distance to go towards, and so they never get there.
Yeah. I don't know. Some kids don't have that opportunity to know to do that.
To know, right. No, that's true. Yeah. That's true. And
my life has totally changed since we were together 7, 8, 10 years ago since I last saw you.
Really?
I mean, I totally got into children and my community, and Randy and I started fostering. We've had like 37 kids come through our home.
Oh, wow.
We've learned all about our community and drugs and children and how they survive and adapt, and how it's such an early age, even in the womb, how it makes a difference.
Yeah,
So
I had
we
said,
just happen to be lucky to have fairly good parents,
we got very, very lucky. That's a fair statement. I was with somebody recently who comes across a lot of Eastern European children who are up for adoption, and they said it's a really tough situation because with the Eastern Europeans this person has come across, they've never had a love connection at all to a parent, and so that's a very hard cycle.
Attachment disorder.
Yeah, there's attachment disorder.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. So you're right. I mean, we won the lottery.
Yes, we did win the lottery, and we have to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because to me, sports is a very selfish and self-centered thing. It's an individual thing. I think it's a very individual therapy thing, which sports is great for therapy.
Yeah.
To take out your own turmoil, and we had the luxury of doing that.
Yeah, and I had the luxury of you imparting your turmoil on me.
Get your arse over here, Joe, for sake.
For sake, nonstop screaming.
That's not true. Yeah, sure.
But really, I got to thank you because I think the DNA and the ethos of Spartan and a death race, which is going on right here on the farm, comes from your attitude.
Oh well.
And I say
thank
that,
you.
and I say
Thank
that
you,
with
Joe.
love, not with
Yeah.
no. You'll see. I'll scream at the participants. I accept nothing other than excellence, and it was the way you were towards our team. I remember feeling sick. Are you pissing blood yet? If you're not pissing blood, you keep going. And so that's something I say to people. It's true. It's true. I mean, life is like that, right? Like, are you kidding me?
You push through. I get a lot of that from my mother. She's still in my head. You got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a half a brain. You're fine. Get on with it.
Right.
And she's
Because
my
it's easy to
greatest
quit.
teacher. It is. So just be glad you have a pair of shoes, put on a pair of feet. I mean,
Right.
I always go to the extreme whenever I'm thinking about, I'll never get to be here again to do this again. So shut up and quit your moaning and get going.
Yeah. We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
And but a lot of people can't do that. They don't have that frame of reference, right? But I think if you can do that, it's an awesome gift. In other words, if the Wi-Fi is not working on the airplane, but you say to yourself, well, thank God I'm not in a bike seat right now, right? You know what I mean? Then you can't complain about your current
correct.
situation,
That's where I always go to.
right?
Yeah.
And I remember another thing you taught me was if you're not cold, you're wearing too much. If you're not tired, you're sleeping too much. If you're not hungry, you're eating too much. And I just chant that to myself.
Cold, wet, and hungry.
Cold, wet, and hungry, right?
Go light and fast.
And it's a good place to be. It's very enlightening, really, to be where you just want water, food, and shelter, right?
Yes.
As opposed to dealing with all the things we deal with in a regular life.
Well, it makes us realize that we don't need all that crap.
We don't need it.
We just don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you and I go run up the mountain quick and come back and do the second
You
half
want
of
me
this
to
interview?
test out my new titanium knees?
You got 2 new knees.
2 titanium knees, so I can go play with my kids longer in my life.
See, you've always taken those little advantages to win races. So rather than use regular knees like
I'm
we
getting
all
titanium.
have, you put in titanium
Yeah,
knees.
you bet your
You didn't want
bionic woman.
You didn't want the aluminum bike. You had to have the titanium.
Hey Spartans, we'll get right back to your interview. I'm Zach Evnesh, the Thursday host of Spartan Way, and I want to share a message in today's sponsor, ShadyRays.com. I'm wearing a pair of their sunglasses. Here's another pair of their sunglasses. These sunglasses are built for Spartans. They're built for adventure. We've got some awesome things that make this company very unique. Number 1, they're polarized. They've got an ultraviolet 400, so they're going to protect your eyes from the sun. We always talk about being healthy, taking care of our health, and sometimes our eyes is something that we're not really thinking about. But if you're training outdoors, running, even when you're mountain biking through the trails, you want to protect your eyes. Number 2, if you break them or lose them or damage them in any way, they've got the strongest warranty out there where they will replace them free of charge, no question asked. Let me just tell you our special offer that's exclusive for Spartan listeners and viewers. They are giving a 50% discount when you order 2 pairs of sunglasses from ShadyRays.com. It's basically 2 for the price of 1. You could go to ShadyRays.com, pick out your 2 sunglasses, 1 for you, 1 as a gift for somebody else, or hey, maybe both for you. I'm not judging. And it's 50% off using the code SPARTAN.
All right, we haven't seen each other in 7 or 8 years. What's going on in your head? What are you passionate about? And that was a hell of a hike. Those titanium knees are unfair.
Bionic woman. I'm passionate about children now because they are our future, of course. I know a pun on that. I really think it's hard for children to grow up right now with technology, and they're not getting outside enough. So sports should be a must in most children's life, I believe. I think it helps them. It helped me. And it'll help them get through some of their hard times. I've dealt with teenage, very broken children. And I want to cry every day because I have such a lust for life. And they feel so doomed. So just keep going. Just keep going. One foot in front of the other, as you said, Joe.
Why do you think they feel doomed? Like, what? They just don't know that there's light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes, I think it's, I don't know. It's probably a lot of things they've had to endure previously in their lives, not having a level playing ground like a lot of kids have. I mean, I work with kids who have issues. So patience is something that we have to learn.
Patience as a kid.
No, patience as adults.
To deal with
the kids. Because we always want to force our opinions, our side, our stuff on them.
So you think I'm a little aggressive? I wake my kids up at 5:30 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, and shove garlic in their mouths at the age of 2.
You remember that?
Yeah, at the age of 2, shoving garlic.
We used to call them fireballs. I don't want them to get sick.
Well, I'm glad that your kids are still loving sports because I was thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to go the opposite.
They're going to hate it.
Yeah, they're going to hate it.
Well, it's really simple for them because there's no choice. I tell them they can do anything they want when they're 21.
Well, I have to say, 2 of my kids love mountain biking, and I'm so excited. And
That's
I
great.
didn't push
Probably
it on
because
them.
you backed off.
I backed off, and I did kind of make them go with me occasionally, and they had fun, and they started to learn, and put them into a couple of camps. Because, Mama, it's hard when Mama or Dad pushes them.
No doubt
it is hard. But I'm glad that they have that, and they're loving it, and we have that together.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, I've always tried to manage that balance of pushing too hard and then they push back.
Yes.
Versus, they're not mountain biking today. So it's a tough.
Get your arses out.
Yeah.
Your shites.
Yeah. So, but I guess there's a component to parenting where it's back off.
Yeah, back off. Yeah.
So what are you doing with these teenagers? What are you telling them? The teenagers that are having tough times.
Well,
how do you mentor them?
Not very easily. It's very difficult. There's no book. There's no instructions. There's nothing, and not one person can help these children. Sometimes it's multiple people. There's no book. There's no instructions.
You don't know what the one sentence is going to be that sticks with that kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fair.
So back to when we raced, Joe.
Yes.
You taught me a lot.
Did I?
Yes.
What did I teach you?
To be patient too.
Really?
Yeah. Because you were stubborn at times.
I'm pretty stubborn. Oh, so you had to learn patience to deal with me. That's fair. I'm not stubborn at times. I'm stubborn all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm learning.
But you are so amazing at getting people together.
I don't know how that is.
And coming up with amazing ideas. So that's a natural talent that you have that you've
Ideas
spread.
are not amazing until they're amazing.
Oh, well, until you actually put them into play.
Well, no, what I mean by that is I think people that come up with ideas are considered crazy, but then when it works, it's like,
it's not crazy. Why didn't I do that? Why not think of that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think with me, if there's anything to learn there, and there might not be anything, but if there's anything to learn there, it's that because I have so many ideas and I try so many things, of course a few work.
Yeah,
of course, a few, right?
A few will.
A few always work.
Yeah.
And so I think the lesson there is just try stuff.
Yeah.
Just do stuff.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck.
Experience them, yeah. Do you remember when you had a lot of your buddies? I don't know, but I'd be landed in a race with like 2 or 3 strange, handsome young men from New York.
Yes.
And I'd be in whatever part of the world.
Yeah.
Getting to know them.
Yeah.
Going through the races.
I remember. Yeah. My crazy buddies, my Wall Street buddies.
Yeah, your Wall Street buddies.
They were
tough, gorgeous, handsome men, and they would be coming back.
Crying.
Not crying. I'm thinking, Joe, you've lost these clients.
Tails between their legs. I don't know if you remember.
I never asked you how did they fare out afterwards? When they went home to.
Well, a lot of them are doing it famously well. I left Wall Street, but some are still making $20-25 million a year. I mean, they've done very well financially. I think secretly, many people in that part of the world are jealous of the adventurous stuff.
Yeah.
Because you could be sitting in a desk in New York City and making that kind of money, but really you want to be out here. Every human being wants to be out here.
So, yeah, I mean, you were giving these people experiences of lives. They thought they were just buff and strong, but you said, come on, let's just go out here, do a race, and they'd rock climb and be terrified going down on a rope.
Game changing.
And so I just was curious, I hope they took a lot from it.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, and by the way, the friendships you build going through those hard times are much better than friendships you build at a bar or a restaurant or dinner, right?
Well, I would say we get to play, but in war, which is war, I mean, I always say that what we do is like war without the war.
Right.
We do make the connections and friendships. In actual war, that's where they make their friendships, really deep friendships. So,
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So we do our war play.
War play. Absolutely. A luxurious
war play. It's like glamping.
Yeah.
We do glamping.
Glamping. I like that. That's a good word.
Yeah. So what's next?
Paint. Paint. Color is my world.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
I've
an
always loved
actual, like an
painting.
artist. You're an artist. It's a fascinating world for me, where somebody is able to take creativity, put it on canvas, and then turn it into dollars.
Yeah. That's where my fear is. I'm afraid. I feel like when I first venture raced, the fear of I'm there now again in my life to art. I want to put myself out there, but it's a huge thing.
Because you're afraid of rejection, you think, deep down inside?
Well, because there's so many other great people. Who am I to say I'm good?
Right.
More so than that.
I mean, you look at some of the art that's sold for millions of dollars, you wouldn't look at it and say, oh, that's incredible art.
Sometimes you go, what kind of shit
What
is
is
that?
that? What is that? Right? So I wouldn't. If I were you, I'd use the fear as fuel.
Yeah, it's fuel. So again, you take that from adventure racing and
and just push through it.
Yeah, push through it, Joe.
Push through it. All right, come on, let's get to some lessons here that they could take home. So I mean, I could rattle off all the lessons I learned from you, but I think everybody could use a little cold, hungry, and tired.
Again, everybody should get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Life is too short. Don't be waiting for another life after this life. If you think there is, fine. But what if it's not? Make this one really count.
I like that. I have a quote: "Death is the price we pay for life, so make it worth it."
I love that.
Isn't that
Absolutely, good? Yeah. Every day, I feel like I've lived most of my life every day like it's my last. I am so passionate about breathing, looking, seeing.
Just soaking it all up.
Soaking it all up every day.
So that's a big lesson that everybody can take away. Like, are you really soaking up life in your car and traffic every day? Are you soaking life up in your cubicle?
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? Well, look at us. We're sitting out in this beautiful place right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Your world can change. You can change your world. It's your choice. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Life is not easy for most people. And I will never tell my kids you can be anything you want to be when you grow up. No, you won't. You can't.
But you can enjoy life.
But you can enjoy life. You can choose to enjoy it. You can choose to go down the dark side, or you can choose to look at the bright side.
And you always look at the bright side.
I like to look at the bright side. There may be a couple times when I don't, but 99% of the time I'm looking at the bright side.
I like that. And then the third is maybe help other people?
Absolutely. When adventure racing, when I was feeling miserable, that's when I would go help my teammate, hold their hand, sing them a song. They're hurting. I'm hurting, but we can make it ease together.
Right. That's like cadence in the military, where, I mean, it goes way back to the Spartans, where they would like sing through it to try to get through the tough times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So sing through it.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I wish I had my partner Johnny, Tim, and Sephra next to me, but they're out scouring the earth for the next big interview. You know, it brought back a lot of memories for me. Mo and I probably raced 5,000 miles together in, let's call it 20 countries. And during that time, there's a lot of bleeding. There's a lot of feeling sorry for yourselves, a lot of out of breath, a lot of wanting to quit. I actually quit a race while I was out there with her and got to live with that the rest of my life, which is why I fight tooth and nail now not to quit at anything, because quitting's forever. And you just can't go back and unwind that. But I realized that her piss and vinegar, her little sayings, her attitude seeped into me, and it definitely seeped into Spartan. I'm remembering a moment here in Pittsfield where I had a buddy, Jason, I was trying to convince to do 100 miles on snowshoes, and he was about 45 miles in, and he was broken, and he was laying on the ground. And I remember just kicking him and nudging him and getting him going and saying, dude, if you're not pissing blood, get going. And I probably had a little Irish accent in there unknowingly, and that came from Mo, right? So that Spartan the F up attitude she had. And what's interesting is I don't even know if she has it. I don't even know if she knows she has it. I think it came from her mom and her upbringing. Because a few years ago, I was in the Brecon Beacons, probably not too far from where she grew up, and the weather was awful. It's where the SAS train in Wales, and oh God, I mean, we were out there. We had all the proper gear. Almost got blown off a mountain, dangerous as can be. Every year, people die out there. After about 10 hours, we're coming back to the start, and it's like torrential rain. I mean, it's biblical weather. And heading out on the course that we just did after 10 hours, and we are high-fiving, and we feel like SAS warriors. There is a grandmother with two young, grandchildren and a cane, no gear, no compass, no spotlights, no safety helicopter, and they're just going out as if it's a normal day. And so, if you're a young child and you grew up in an environment like that, whether you're in Africa with the Maasai, right, or in China climbing some mountain every day to and from school, you just become wired differently. So I think Mo's just wired differently. I don't even think she knows that she's got grit and resilience oozing out of her. So it was fun for me to sit with her after not seeing her for 7-8 years and realizing that a lot of my quirkiness probably comes not only from my mom and other people I met in life, but from Mo. I think we all could take a little piss and vinegar and add it to our life. And I think she's a wake-up call. If you're out there and you're listening to this, you're watching this, I think she's a wake-up call that we all could use a little adventure. What's amazing, though, is she's also got this ability to sympathize with young children, right? She says to me, "Look, Joe, we won the lottery, right? You're born, you're healthy, you've got good parents, you've got a leg up on life." And so even if she had a little more of a rugged upbringing, a little tougher weather, maybe some midges eating at her skin, still a huge leg up from other children that don't have that. They don't necessarily have somebody holding their hand and guiding them through life. So interesting to see that she's got both sides dialed in. Anyway, join the conversation. Check out Spartan Up Instagram. Tell us how she spoke to you, how you're going to apply some of this stuff to your life, or what you're doing with your life, what questions you have. We want to hear it. Throw a backpack on today, rain or shine. Get out there and go do something. Breathe heavy.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Spartan Up. If you have goals, we're here for you with daily tips to keep you on track and interviews every Tuesday with inspiring, motivating people. The only thing we ask of you is to push yourself and push your limits and to help us get the word out. We're on a mission to rip 100 million people off the couch and give them the tools to keep going. So please, tell your friends about us. Subscribe. Share it if you like this episode. See you next week.